Sounders are still winless on the season. Today, it's 1-1 against the Colorado Rapids. And y'all are smiling and giggling because he's back for about 10 days. Steven, you've been gone a little bit, not in our hearts, not in our minds, but just what did you see today since, you're back?
Maybe a little bit better for the Sounders than in their first couple matches of the season, but ultimately they still were not able to score from the run of play and self-destructed a bit in the second half en route to this 1-1 draw with the Colorado Rapids.
John?
Yeah, I think Steven's pretty accurate in there. They controlled or looked very good, very competent for the first 50 minutes of the match, really, until the red card came. And even then, down a man, they still were creating chances, getting into an attack. But it did start to feel inevitable that they were going to concede a goal once they went down a man. I think that clearly was the turning point of the match, losing Josh Atencio on a second yellow.
All right, so let's hear from Brian Smith. So just a quick snippet from the post-game interview, what he had to say about them starting to play well and then kind of self-destruct.
Question, let me address it. So yeah, I thought the team started off well. I mean, the goal, the penalty was deserved. Raul, I mean, that's again, it takes a lot of courage to do that. So we're kind of in control. And have we played our best stuff? No. But we're in control of the match. And then, yes, you get a couple of decisions that players make, and the game starts to unravel a little bit. And how did we react? How did we circle the wagons and try and hold on to 1-0? It's unfortunate that, Josh gets a second yellow, but I can't argue with the refereeing. Can't.
Okay, so you heard Brian Smetzer a little bit just talk about the decisions and what you all talked about. Let's take some deeper dives a little bit right into this whole thing. Steven, what's happening in the final third?
Not enough, not much. They passed the ball around in a semicircle. It all still looks stale. They added one big attacker over the offseason in Pedro de la Vega. He's hurt. I think it's questionable whether he's going to take them from a lethargic attack back to one of the elite ones in MLS, all by his lonesome this year anyways. But for now, it just is painful to watch, frankly, and one sort of struggles to remember the last time the Sounders entertained their fans at home.
And we had this discussion off camera. I thought, hey, De La Vega would make the difference, and you were saying just what you said right now, that, hey, you know what, one player doesn't, but that's fair. We'd have to wait and see.
Definitely.
But John, what was the deficiency in the final third that you saw?
I think Christian mentioned it a little bit in his post-game press conference that teams are tucking in tight into the center, playing really compact through the middle of the field and forcing them to get out wide. And when they do, they're not getting enough bodies in the central of the box for a wide service to be played into. I think that's a big problem, that they're just not getting enough attacking options in the center of the field after the ball gets wide. Because they're doing a good job at getting the ball wide to wide spaces, letting Alex or Leah or Christian put crosses in to the box and create scoring chances, but there's not enough players there to capitalize on them.
Steven, if you're coaching a 13-year-old boys, girls team, you're going to say, okay, here's what we're going to do. When the ball goes wide, he's going to look, everybody run in to the box, right? So if we can teach that on our Saturday morning, what's deficiency? The recognition, the wanting, the courage? What's missing in getting players in the box?
I mean, I think it's still just that stylistically Sounders have been found out a little bit. They've tried to play the same way year after year after year with great success for most of that run, right? With mostly the same players in that stretch. Some of those guys are older. The people they've replaced them with don't necessarily have the same chemistry or synergy. And we're just sort of at a point where it feels like they're found out. They don't have fresh ideas in the attacking third. And if you want a specific answer to why aren't they getting on the end of crosses, well, I'm not sure that Jordan Morris is an elite level MLS finisher, and a lot of the time he's the only guy in there.
Some homework for all y'all. Find out the band who the Stylistics are, okay? So we'll tune there. But I would say, John, I'll let you go ahead. What do you think? Because I have something else to what Steven is saying. What's lacking there?
It's probably a number of things, but they're not really taking the shooting chances that they get. There was one Morris breakaway that we are in the box, all we're lamenting, he tries to turn the ball around, get it onto his left, then onto his right, and really just takes too many touches when he probably should take the first touch and try and put it on frame there as he's going through the defense. I think you're seeing that as the ball moves to the top of the box, guys are looking to pass first or not seeing a shooting lane to take and not taking enough chances towards goal.
Agreed. I would take it a step back from that, in that there's some selfishness going on, right? People need the balls to the left or the right. They need to make that run to drag the defenders. I'm going to go out on record, really, just because I think this team is playing selfish soccer. I don't think they're saying, I'm going to run into the box, drag defenders out. And to your point, just in terms of when there were two defenders with Jordan Morris, there's a lack of conviction in everything they're doing from the midfield on down. And I think that's what's ailing in this team. So we kind of beat that to the ground a little bit. Defensive-wise, what did you see from Andrew Thomas, these few games?
Yeah, probably the single biggest bright spot for Seattle's season so far, right? With Stefan Fry out and already in his mid-30s. Certainly we expect him to come back and be a great goalkeeper for Sounders this year, but in the near future, sometime in the next few seasons, it will be time for a replacement. And it sure looks like they have a strong one in Andrew Thomas. There might have been questions about that over the offseason, having let Stefan Cleveland go. And it looks like Tommy Dutra got it exactly right once again. Not that anybody should be surprised about that.
Yeah.
Defensively, what are you seeing?
The save for the goal where the Sounders defenders lose the man who, I can't remember who it was, but the guy who scores for Colorado Cabrera is left open. No one marks him on the free kick, and he's the one that gets free to tap in the goal. Other than that, there wasn't too many chances for Colorado. I think Sounders did a good job defensively at frustrating Colorado, making it hard for them to move the ball into the box and to move the ball into dangerous positions. Andrew Thomas has been fantastic. Saves a penalty today. Save on the goal. It comes off of a free kick that he makes a save on. The save comes off the bar and right to the Colorado attacker. Just unfortunate, but he's making great plays. He talked about how he's comfortable and confident with his defenders in front of him, and it shows.
Well, on the save and the rebound, and Spencer talked about this, that where were the Seattle defenders, right? The goalkeeper makes the save because they were two or three Colorado players were the closest ones on that, and it was just a tap. So I'm going to go back and just say I think this team needs to play with some urgency, with some energy, and they did that the first 15 minutes. You saw some free-flowing back and forth a little bit, and then I think somewhere they're just kind of tuning out. So, again, they don't have the two DP players, so I think they have to. It's a wake-up call, and so parting thoughts. What has to happen for this team to win?
Yeah, I think you brought up urgency, and to me it's not that they lack urgency from minute 1 to 90. It's that there comes a moment when you have the ball and you have to make a decision. Do we recycle possession and go backwards, or is this the moment where we all realize this is the opportunity now? This is the moment. The forward makes the run, the wide player gets into position to get the ball to make a cross, whatever it is. But there needs to be this group-wide recognition. This is the moment. Now we go. They almost always lack that. And if you look at Sounders' attack, the one thing that you'll see from Champions League, the Champions League win on, is they play too slow. They don't recognize the key moments fast enough. The whole group isn't on the same page about when to go. That to me is the key. When the defense gets a defender out of position and you've got the ball, now's the moment. Let's do it. Let's go as a unit. And there are a lot of people in MLS who are better at that than they are.
Yeah, it's a bit too methodical. There's too much movement side to side with the ball and not enough north-south. We didn't really see a lot of through balls into the box for runners trying to get and split the defenders. There wasn't a whole lot of that. It was more of get a ball wide and trying to get a cross in than it was really trying to force it down the middle and break down the defenders for Colorado. I think seeing them be more aggressive, take those chances more frequently, will lead to more chances at goal.
to your point, though, I think it takes one or two players to initiate that.
Sure.
You know, they're working at it in practice, but everybody, well, are you going to go, Stephen? Are you going to go? I think that's part of the whole, you know, you have all have watched the Sounders from day one. There was always somebody that kind of initiated that, the quarterback that said, "Hut, let's go."
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
From
yeah.
2016, from the middle of 2016 on, how did almost every one of Sounders' attacks start?
Or yours as somebody.
Regardless of where it was on the field, who came to the ball to pick up the ball and start the attack, John?
Nico Ladero.
Nico Ladero,
Yep,
and who's
yep.
not on this team anymore.
Nico Ladero.
Well, okay.
Who got too old to function in that role for this?
Well-
who's not on this team anymore? That's my question. You say there needs to be this guy who coordinates everybody. Now it's time for us to go. I just think it's worth pointing out the guy who did that for them during their most successful period as a club is no longer here.
But I can say that in essence, Albert Rusnak is now going to play that role. I think right now fair enough. I'm not discounting that, but whoever's in there needs to do that now.
Correct.
I mean,
Yeah,
somebody
that's
has
true.
to do it,
Yeah.
and it's not happening. So I will tell you the off comments I had with Albert Rusnak and a couple other players, which are interesting, but you know, that's all kind of locker room stuff. But I think as a team, what they all said is that we have to play better, we have to get better. So for post game on the pitch, for John Marshall and Stephen Egan, who's back for 10 days, thank you for bringing the son from New York. We so much appreciate you. I'm Asvita Mara Eric.